Hello and thanks for tuning in. A couple months ago, I completed a 21-day water fast. I had my reasons for doing this. It was a very interesting experience. I did complete all 21 days of fasting, so I had no food for 21 days, just water. And I recorded my experience every 5 days in sort of a vlog format. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to just sort of edit those together. And for anyone who's interested in sort of following along what experience I had during the 21-day fast, you can just take a look. I'll put a timestamp here of here are the timestamps if you just want to skip to certain parts of the fast if you're more interested in that, because this video is kind of long. I did try to edit it down, but the way that I did these, I didn't really intend to publish this on my YouTube channel. I really did this really just to document my experience and share that with my family and friends. But it's I had a lot of people that were really interested in what my experience was, so I thought, why not share it just more generally on my YouTube channel. I do want to kick things off though by saying, fasting's not for everybody. So I was medically supervised. I was at TrueNorth Health Center in Santa Rosa, California, where I did have medical supervision. So I didn't just stop eating on my own. I did have a plan, and then I had a 21 days of fasting, and then I had a 10-day period of refeeding, which was a slow start, sort of getting my system rebooted back to accepting food again when the fast was over, and I do describe that in the video. So anyway, if you're interested, take a look. I am about 18 and a half hours into the fast. I just checked my ketones. I am in a bit of ketosis already, so I am underway. But, why did I decide to do this? I get a lot of leading up to this, when I would talk to people about, I'm going to go be doing this thing for a month out in Santa Rosa, they would be like, what? Because it's an unusual thing. And so, but I had my reasons for it. For one, I've got a milestone birthday coming up at the end of the year in December. And so for that milestone birthday, I just decided to do this, sort of give my body this kind of present, my body and my brain, really because of cellular health. There's this process called autophagy, which is the body's process of really cleaning itself of old and damaged cells. And it is triggered by calorie restriction, and fasting can be triggered by that way. And so this process of fasting, that was really my main goal, was just to regenerate my cells, keep my brain as healthy as I possibly can as I approach this milestone birthday. So metabolism is another sort of thing I had in mind. As like my metabolism, as I'm older, it's slowed down, and so rebooting that and regenerating that through fasting, I'm hoping to see a benefit there. Then, of course, weight loss is a benefit. I'm trying to be very careful to not let weight loss really drive the whole process, but that is a benefit, right? Because if you're not eating, obviously you are going to lose some weight, and if you don't eat for 21 days, you're going to lose, quite a bit of weight. But never fear, I have plenty of extra energy stored here in this body to carry me through these 21 days and well beyond. So just to prep for this, I started the prep for this last week. I think Saturday the 14th is the last time I had coffee or tea. So the first 3 days, I wanted to get that out of the way because this is a water-only fasting program. So no coffee, no tea, nothing but water for 21 days. So I started this because I wanted to get that coffee piece out of the way, because I knew I was going to probably have problems with that. So I'm glad I did, because I had headaches for about 3 days, and then I was feeling kind of even dizzy and stuff from the caffeine withdrawal for about another 3 or 4 days. So that whole process took a while. I cannot imagine coming out here and starting the fast in addition to having to deal with the caffeine withdrawal for a person like me who's really been drinking coffee since I was about 13 or younger. So that was sort of a big challenge. And then I really tried to eat a really healthy, really kind of vegetable based diet, really high in fiber diet, coming out here, leading up to this. So I think I prepared for pretty well. I followed the instructions that I was given to start this fast, and then I finally did get the okay this morning to go ahead and start the fast. I did not eat breakfast, so therefore that does make my last meal, having been about 5:30 yesterday, which is about 18 and a half hours ago, as I mentioned. So for the videos, I thought it would be kind of cool to just kind of check in right here at the beginning, and then again every 5 days throughout the fast. So I plan on checking again on day 5 of the fast, then day 10, then day 15, then day 20, and then some part during maybe when after the 21 days as the refeeding starts. So another aspect of this is really to me is the challenge of it. I don't know anybody that's done a 21-day fast before, so I'm not sure what the experience is going to be like, but I really wanted to see what it would be like. I wanted to see if I could do it, number one, and number two, what would the experience be like to do that. I have talked to some other people out here at True North since I've been here, who have been here before and done fasting before. One man who's even done a 40-day fast before, and so I know it can be done, but I'm just really interested to what this whole journey is going to be like, and I will keep doing these videos every 5 days throughout the process, just to sort of document that. So I guess that's it for this video. Until day 5, take care. Bye. Hello and welcome to Regeneration Day 5 update. So I'm doing these videos every 5 days during this month-long regeneration project that I have going on. Day 5. So I realized that on day 1 I didn't really talk about what the philosophy of this place True North is, and so I wanted to kind of touch base on that. And that is, so their philosophy is basically that humans throughout our entire history have lived in an environment of scarcity where food wasn't always readily available, and we had to eat whatever was available. And so we didn't really eat for pleasure so much as we ate whatever we had or whatever we could find. So, as the 20th century then wore on, we became more affluent, especially in the United States for sure, where we eat now for pleasure. And so the food industry knows this. And so we also eat a lot of mostly now processed foods and already prepared foods. And these processed and prepared foods are designed to activate our pleasure, right? So we'll continue to buy them. And the ways that they do this largely is by adding salt, oil, and sugar. So SOS it's called. And so we haven't figured out, our minds still are in this view of scarcity rather than in abundance that we live in now. And so we fall into this trap of this pleasure trap of eating. We used to say what is available for dinner, and now we say what would you like for dinner. And that's a big shift actually, because what you want to eat is what's going to give you pleasure, and that's not always going to be the best optimal food for your body. So the SOS, salt, oil, sugar, so their philosophy out here is whole food, plant-based, vegan, and then also no added salt, no added sugar, and no added oil. So whenever I finish this program, the expectation is that I will continue to have this SOS free diet. I'm already a vegan and have been since 2013, but I have not been SOS free, obviously, because I love sugar, I love oil, and I love salt. So anyway, that's sort of the philosophy behind this. And the Pleasure Trap book was written by Douglas J. Lyle, and he's PhD, and he's the director of research here at True North Health Center. So yeah. All right, on to my experience so far in the 5 days that I've been doing this so far. So I just thought I'd touch base on the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects. So starting with the physical. So physically, I've been okay. Really, basically, on day 2, I had a headache. I woke up with this headache. I'm not sure where this headache came from, but one of the principles out here is there's nothing in or on your body but water. So you can't take Advil, right? So I had this headache, sort of like low level all day. And then later on, when one of the staff was doing the rounds, so I get rounds in the morning, vital signs, and like a doctor comes, and then in the afternoon as well, a doctor comes again. And that afternoon, when the doctor came by, she said, this is probably something to do with your detox or whatever. It could be related to caffeine withdrawal still, even though I've been off that now for quite a while, since August 14th, 15th. But she said, use ice packs. There's some frozen ice packs in the freezer that you can use. And so I did that, and it kind of went away. But then I woke up in the middle of the night with it worse. And so I used the ice packs again. And then when I woke up on day 3, it was gone and has not come back. So that's been okay. But to the point of nothing on or in your body except water, this means no showers. No, and you also can't brush your teeth with toothpaste. You only brush your teeth with water. And for the shower, so I've now using it's my dad used to call this a split bath, which is where you just do a wash at the sink basically every morning is what I do. So instead of a full shower. So, at first I was kind of like grossed out by that idea, but it's turned out to be okay. I don't think I smell. I don't know. But if so, everybody else here is sort of in the same boat. So I guess it's okay. So post-nasal drainage, this started on about like day 2 or 3. I think it was on day 2 a little bit, and then it got worse on day 3. It's not terrible, but I can feel it, this drainage in the back of behind my nose and draining down, and I hope this is a sign that my lungs are repairing themselves. The doctor, I have my attending doctor that's overseeing my case. I saw him on Thursday, and he gave me my lab results. I had lab done on day 1, and my lab results on day 3 it was. We're all okay, and he said this nasal drainage is pretty normal for this stage in the fast, and a lot of people experience that. So bowel activity might be TMI, too much information, but last bowel activity was on day 2, and there's not any more bowel activity really expected until I resume eating, because if you're not eating anything, there's nothing for your bowels to do. And this is good for them, because this is the whole purpose of this whole prolonged fast, is to give my different organs a rest. So the bowels are going to be able to get a rest and hopefully do some regeneration. Water consumption. So water consumption is the minimum that I'm supposed to drink is 4 8-ounce glasses a day. I have been, last couple of days I've done 5, but that's a lot of water for me, so 4 glasses, 8-ounce glasses of water is really enough. But I have been later in the afternoon going ahead and having a 5th glass in the later afternoon. So weakness. So the weakness I started having some weakness really late in the day on day 3, late in the night, in the evening of day 3. Day 3, I had this weakness all day, and I have it again today. So as long as I'm just sitting here, I'm fine with energy. But if I go to walk anywhere, I do feel very weak. Not very weak, but I feel weak. I was asked to grade this weakness from 0 or 1, 0 meaning you're dead, 1 meaning you can't get out of bed, all the way up to 10, which is none hardly, and I rated it a 7. So it's not terrible, but it is very noticeable. And I've done fasting in the past, and I have experienced this before, which is one of the reasons when I stopped an extended fast that I was just doing on my own a while back, because I got worried that something was wrong. My vital signs have been okay though the whole time. So my pulse, my oxygen level in my blood, my blood pressure, and my temperature are all fine, and have been every single time they've checked it. And then finally, weight loss. I've lost 9.8 pounds. So that's a little more than I expected. I was expecting to lose about a pound a day. That's what I had sort of come to understand about fasting, but I've lost more like almost 2 pounds a day. So 9.8 pounds. The doctor said this is nothing. They don't seem too concerned about that here. He seems to think that eventually, it might go down closer to more like 1 pound a day as, the fast progresses. So, mentally, I've been okay. I've had clear thinking, and this is a good thing because I've actually had a kind of busy week, 5 days anyway, not week, but the busy 5 days. I had 2 different interviews for a transfer position within my company, which is pretty cool. And I should find out something next week. I don't think I have to go through any more interviews, but if so, okay. I recorded a video for my BookTube channel, a book chat. I chatted Laura by Vera Caspary. So I did that, got that uploaded, got that recorded and uploaded. I also had an annual report due. I'm one of the clerks of a committee at my friend's meeting, and I did that annual report was due, so I did that report. And then I did 2 stories. So I volunteer for this Russian science fiction magazine that translates their stories, some of their stories, into an English version, and I do kind of like a proofread beta reading of those stories that are translated into English. And I did 2. Had 2 stories that I was kind of behind when I came out here, and I got 2 of those stories done, proofread, and returned back to that Russian group out there, which is kind of a fun sort of side project that I have going on. Yeah, and then I've also been reading. I'm reading a book, 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I'm listening to a book, The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens, and I'm also knitting a blanket, which I meant to have here handy to show you my progress. I've made quite a bit of progress on it so far, But so anyway, mentally I'm doing fine. And if anything, I'm even maybe more clear-headed, but I don't really notice necessarily that much of a difference. Spiritually, so starting on day 3, I would get these periodic feelings of just well-being, like everything's great, everything's just gonna be great, and it's just it comes and goes, and especially on yesterday on day 4, I got this fairly off, and all I had to do was kind of just stop and what I was doing and think about it for a second, and I would just get this. It's actually not thinking; it's actually a feeling of well-being, and I think that's been really cool. And then I got this Apple Watch, so this Apple Watch will prompt me periodically to do a breathing type exercise, and I've been trying to coordinate that breathing exercise with the silent listening that's part of the Quaker practice of connection, with the spirit. So I think that's really a good practice, and that's something I'm going to try to keep doing once I leave here, because interrupting your day for that sort of silent listening periodically throughout your day, I think is a really, really good practice that I'd like to cultivate more. And then finally, the evening star. So yesterday was actually quite hot, got quite hot here. And I have a really high heat tolerance, so I never even turned on the air conditioner. Because it gets kind of chilly at night, in the 40s even, and the low 50s. So I knew it wasn't going to be hot for that long. And so when dusk came, I decided to go sit out on the balcony. There's a balcony that opens out onto a courtyard, and the courtyard has this fountain out there. And so it's really peaceful and relaxing out there on the balcony. So when it got to be dusk and it started cooling off, I went out and laid there's this chair out there, and it's this kind of recliner chair, and was just sort of chilling out, listening to the fountain and stuff. And I noticed in the west, the evening star, I noticed the star, and I thought, that's a planet. And I thought, oh yeah, that's Venus. That's the evening star, in the west. So Venus, when it rises in the morning, in the east, it's the morning star, and when it in the west, when it's in the evening, it's in the west. It's called the evening star. And I don't know I just was fixated on that. I watched it till the movement of it. It fell behind some trees, and it was just so beautiful. It was so much more beautiful than if I just said, "Oh yeah, the evening star." And it reminded me of the song from the Lord of the Rings, "May It Be." So that's about the evening star, and the lyrics say, "May it be an evening star shines down upon you. May it be when darkness falls, your heart will be true. You walk a lonely road, oh, how far you are from home." And it just keeps going on, but it's a beautiful song. It's sung by Anya, and this is what I just was sort of fixated on this, and it was just so beautiful. So that was a great experience. Okay, I will stop this video. That's my experience up to day 5. I will check in again on day 10. Until then, bye. Well, here I am on day 10 of my 30-day month of regeneration, and things are going pretty well. I wanted to kick off this with talking about hunger, because I realized that in the previous 2 videos I haven't really mentioned hunger. And so I think this might be surprising to a lot of people, but I have 0 hunger. I haven't had any hunger in a long time. Probably the last hunger I felt was on maybe day 3 or so. I mean, it kind of comes and goes, but I have no hunger at all. As a matter of fact, this morning, so I have a sweet mate who gets berries in the morning. She's not on a water fast right now because she has kind of poorly controlled type 2 diabetes, and she's on 4 shots of insulin a day. And so right now they are working on getting her diabetes under control. So she's still on, certain foods, and she gets berries in the morning. And I went out in our common room. We have this common area, and they had delivered her berries to this table, and I just sat down and was reading, and the berries were like right there, and I had no hunger at all. Now I do think about food though, oddly enough. So periodically food will just pop into my mind. It doesn't make me feel hungry though. So one thing that keeps recurring is curry pasta. And so I think in the future it'd be a real treat to get some silken tofu and use my hand blender, and mix that up with some curry and then add that to some whole wheat pasta. I think that'd be a real treat. And then the other thing I think about periodically is beans, like pinto beans. I want to make a pot of pinto beans, and then I want to, make that into refried beans and eat that on corn tortillas as well as, with rice. So that's, something I'm kind of looking forward to eventually as well. And then vegetable stew, but not just any vegetable stew. I want when I visualize my vegetable stew, I see a particular vegetable stew, and that stew has potatoes, carrots, cabbage, and kidney beans. And that's it. And I'm looking forward to that vegetable soup. And then cantaloupe. I hope that hopefully I can get cantaloupe here once I start eating again on day 22. So they have some fruit down there. I mean, I haven't been in the dining room but one time, but maybe I can get cantaloupe. But that cantaloupe sounds like a real treat to me as well. But talking about food like this doesn't make me hungry even after 10 days of fasting. Well, anyway, let's get to where I am. So last time on day 5, I talked about the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects that I've experienced over the last 5 days. So that'll do the same here. So just kicking off with the physical, the main story here has been weakness and fatigue. This got worse from day 5, significantly worse, especially on day 7 and 8. If I went to make up the bed and fold the extra blanket, I would make up the bed a little bit, then I'd rest.
Then I'd make the bed a little bit more, then I'd rest. Then I'd fold the blanket partially and rest. And then I'd finish folding the blanket and rest. This started getting better. Oh, the other thing that happened with that was my pulse went up. So my resting pulse rate's usually like in the 60s or early, the low 70s. And my resting pulse rate went up to 82, which is still okay and it's still normal. It's just, it went up and it was noticeable. And so late yesterday afternoon, I started to just suddenly, I felt better, and then my resting pulse rate had gone back down into the 70s, and I feel better, So now I can actually make the bed, rest, and fold the blanket and rest. So I still have to rest with these kind of activities, but not as much as I did on day 7 and 8. So that's better. So water consumption. I misspoke in the last video. I think I said the minimum was 4 8-ounces in the previous video per day. The minimum amount of water is actually 4 12-ounce glasses of water per day. I am trying to still drink 5 when I can. So taste change. I noticed this taste change. Of course I'm not eating, so it's hard to really gauge, but the taste of water changed. Probably around day 6, I started thinking like, did they change the water? Then I realized it's probably, my taste buds have changed somehow. So that'll be interesting to see how I interact with food on day 22. The post-nasal drainage, has continued. I mentioned that in the last video. That's still going on. I hope that's a sign that my lungs are repairing themselves. And then weight loss. So I've lost 5 pounds in the last 5 days. So my weight loss has kind of equalized down to about average of a pound a day, as it was higher in the first 5 days. I've lost 14.8 pounds in the last 10 days. So that's the total. Then I got my lab results, which I thought were really interesting. My white blood cells went up a bit, and the eosinophils went up at the same time, and the doctor says that means they're working on something in my body. The white blood cells are working on addressing some issue in my body. So we take that as a good sign. The interesting thing to me is my hemoglobin went up, as well as my hematocrit, and so did my protein and my calcium. So even with 10 days of no eating, a lot of people, there's this protein myth, I think, now that people think, oh, I've got to get enough protein or I'm going to have problems. But I haven't eaten in 10 days and my protein actually went up. So I thought that was real interesting. Other than that, my labs were okay. My creatinine went up a little bit, but it's still in the normal range. This is kidney function. So this is, my kidneys are having to work extra hard to filter out all the toxins and things. And so kind of not surprising that it went up a little bit. Okay, mentally. So mentally, I haven't had a lot of mental challenges as far as the way I think, like I'm still thinking clearly. I haven't had any fuzzy headedness or brain fog or really even lack of focus. The one thing I did notice was how distracting electronics are. So being here, kind of like I'm not isolated, there are other people here, but in this sort of special environment, it's really noticeable how disruptive electronics are really to life. And I think that I was thinking about this the other day, like how if I was doing a fast, like if I were doing a fast back in, in the Middle Ages or something for religious reasons, like you would be in a place that's really quiet and no distractions really, and how life used to be that way until, our modern sort of digital era. But there is a call to my attention for electronics all the time, and it's habit, where I will pick up my phone and look at the news. And one thing I've realized too is that news is really toxic. And so I really need to work on that a little bit more. So, I sort of had that idea. Fortunately, though, like I said, my mental, my mental focus is still okay. So as long as I have the energy to do things, I can still function pretty well that way, which is good because I mentioned last time I do this work with a Russian science fiction magazine, and I have a new story that I need to proofread for them and get back to them in the next day or two. So I've got stuff to do. And then spiritually, so I was so fatigued this week that kind of consumed almost all of my energy, but I did have kind of a couple of moments that sort of stand out spiritually here that I will share. One is music. So I was listening one day, like as I was at day 7 or 8, I was like so, kind of like tired, fatigued, and so I decided that I was tired of listening to my book. I didn't feel like reading. I didn't want to do anything else, so I just decided I would listen to some music. So I went on Spotify and I started listening to this album that I've listened to many times. It's called Gershwin for Trumpet, and it's by Jiraj Bartosh is on the trumpet, and Peter Brainer is on piano. And I've listened to this so many times, but I was like, it's like it was a new album to me. I heard it so clear, and I heard it so differently that it was so amazing to me that I was like, is this? It seemed like I had not heard it ever before, even though I've listened to this album multiple times. But obviously, I was listening to it on a more superficial level previously, and I was listening to it somehow on a more deeper level this time. And then another thing happened. I got this, so I have a YouTube channel, a BookTube channel, and I got this comment that was so kind of nice on one of my book chats that I did. And I won't share the actual comment, but I have gotten nice comments before, and a few not so nice, but I've gotten some nice comments from people all over the world, and it's part of the kind of the fun of having this channel. But I got this super nice comment from this person, and it just struck me so deeply. It made me just think like, it made me sort of see humanity can really be beautiful. And, it just moved me in such a way that previous nice comments hadn't moved me that way. And so that was really a fantastic experience. Okay, I think I will end this here. I will see you back on day 15. Bye. Well, here I am at day 15 of my month of regeneration, and I'm doing pretty well. So in my previous videos, I kind of went over the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of the previous 5 days because I've been doing these videos every 5 days. And so I'll just run through that again. Pretty brief this time because I haven't had a whole lot of changes since day 10. But physically, the main issue continues to be weakness, although this is gradually improving all the time, every day really. Today I was able to I'm on the second floor of this building, and I have to climb these stairs anytime I go down to do anything downstairs or in any other place. And so today I was able to climb those stairs basically almost normally, which I haven't been able to do for a while. I'm back in my most weak phase, which was around day 6 through 9, 10 maybe. That was really a struggle to get up and down those stairs, but today that was actually pretty easy. I mean, pretty normal. Not quite normal, but almost there. My vital signs are also continuing to kind of improve, back to kind of what my baseline is. My oxygen level in my blood is running at around the high 90s, anywhere from the high 90s to 100%. And my pulse has now dropped down back into the 60s, which is really more or less my normal pulse, like 63. So I think that's all a really good sign that some of maybe the stress that my body was under earlier on is sort of passing. So yeah. So taste change. I've mentioned this before, the taste change does continue. This is not surprising due to the fact that I'm burning ketones really for energy at this point, burning fat, which turns into ketones. But I think it's changed again, and by taste I mean the taste of water, because that's the only thing I can of course have right now. So the water today tastes a little better than it has over the last week or so. So that's good. Then the postnatal nasal drainage continues on. I hope this is a sign that my lungs are clearing themselves out. It could also be partially due to sometimes, today's very clear, but sometimes we periodically have smoke here because there are some fires here in Northern California. So sometimes we'll have like a smoke. It'll be in the weather, like there's the air quality will be declined a little bit because of the smoke. It's not something you can smell or anything, but nevertheless, it's there. But anyway, I hope it's a sign that my lungs are actually improving. And then my lab results. So when I mentioned last time my creatinine had gone up a little bit, which measures kidney function, it was still within the normal range, but it had elevated from previously, so they wanted to keep an eye on that in case it got higher, because that's one of those things that can change pretty quickly. And so they rechecked it again on, I think it was Friday, and it had gone back down. So that's okay. So creatinine is doing well. Then they drew my labs again this morning, which is my routine lab that I get done every week, and I will get those results in a couple of days on day 17 when I see my main doctor. So those will be coming up. Then hunger, I haven't really had any real issues with hunger, as I mentioned in the last video. Yeah, my stomach will still growl occasionally, but hunger is not an issue at all. I do still think about food though, so but it doesn't make me hungry to think about it. It'll just be something that I'll think about, like, oh, I'd like to have this or I'd like to have that sometimes. So that's not an issue at all. Weight loss. So over the last 5 days, my weight loss has declined to about half a pound a day on average. I've lost 3.5 pounds in the last 5 days for a total of 18.3 pounds so far in the whole 15 days. So that's where I am with weight loss. So mentally, the thing this last 5 days really has been the vivid dreaming. I've had these very vivid dreams. Often they're to do with something in my distant past, like childhood even. So they're all really pleasant, but it's very strange sort of what sort of dreams that I've had, and they're very vivid. And I can always wake up and kind of remember what I was dreaming. They're not always in my distant past, but often they will be in my distant past. For example, one of them was the front yard where I used to play a lot in the house that I grew up on Jackson Street in my hometown. I was there again, and it was like I was there, actually there. And that was kind of amazing. And then for a few days afterwards, I could remember that dream and still have that feeling of being in that yard. It's fading now, and I'm kind of losing that ability to have that sort of clear sort of feeling that I did then. But nevertheless, that's kind of interesting. And then increased alertness. So also I've noticed over the last several days is this increased alertness, decreased need for sleep. So my sleep has dropped a little bit because I wake up and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, now I'm awake. I feel like I could solve algebra problems, and I'm like, I had to get a tutor in school to even make it through algebra. But very clear-headed, clear thinking, and that's something that I didn't see early on, but I am seeing now. Spiritually, it's not a lot different than what I've mentioned before, sort of those things that I've mentioned before that I experienced, this sort of deeper understanding of things, deeper listening, things like that. sort of a greater sort of compassion, I think. Those kind of things. One thing I wanted to make a point about those, though. It's not something that I feel all the time, so I'm not in this state of bliss. It's just that suddenly, or some trigger will happen, and I will feel this, connection or something. And so that's sort of how it's worked with me. But it's really made me understand how fasting and why fasting has been used for so long, thousands of years, in religious practice, because it's something that does somehow impact your ability to sort of connect with this kind of side of life, if that makes sense. Okay, so I think that's all for my update here. I think instead of since I'm kind of on this trajectory of kind of a stable trajectory, instead of doing an update on day 20, I will wait and do an update on day 22, which will be my day to start eating again. So I think I will just hold off unless something happens that I feel like I want to kind of document in this blog format. I will touch base again on day 22 when I'm about to eat again. So until then, bye. Well, quick update here. I finished up my planned 21-day month of regeneration fast. So I have not had any food actually today is day 22, but I just received my first juice. So I'm going to have that here in a bit. But just to recap, I did this set out to do this 21-day fast, really to rejuvenate my cells, healthy brain, address anything sort of going on in my system that I wasn't aware of. It's really a workout for the cells and the organs. My main side effects were, as I've mentioned on previous videos, were weakness, which I started experiencing about day 4, and it varied in intensity throughout the fast. Sometimes it was worse, sometimes it was better. I think sometimes the weakness kind of correlated to what was going on as far as my autophagy and things, because I would notice some other symptoms that would sort of indicate that. Really, my other kind of symptom was this nasal actually, it wasn't nasal drainage. It has been this lung stuff coming up from my lungs. It never reaches my nose. I've never had any congestion. I can breathe very clearly, but nevertheless, that's in there coming up out of my lungs. And that is, to me, a sign that my lungs have been cleaning themselves since really early on in the fast. So I take that as a good thing. Other side effects, hunger has not been an issue. I mentioned this on other videos, still remains, I don't even particularly feel hungry with this juice here at the moment, but that has not been an issue at all. Of course, the other sort of side effect is weight loss. I ended up losing 22.6 pounds. I will gain a little bit more weight, though, because the way fasting works. Of course, I have no food in my system at all, so I'm carrying no food. Usually, when you're eating, you always have food like in some process of being digested. So you have several pounds of food on you, at any given time. And then plus to digest food, you need extra water. And so when you start eating, you will take on some water again. And then the other thing is, fasting, this kind of prolonged fasting, actually, it kills off and recycles those old and damaged cells that aren't functioning right. And so it's not unusual for your organs to shrink a little bit during a prolonged fast like this. So once I start eating again, then there will be, again, that additional, as I put back on those sort of cells and stuff, I'll gain a little bit of weight naturally. But nevertheless, 22.6 pounds is what I wound up with over this 21 day fast. So I will start the refeeding process. So the way this is going to work for me is I will have 2 days of juicing. I will get juice at 9, 12, 3, and 5. And I'm not sure what this is. My guess is it's some kind of carrot, but we'll see. I haven't tasted it yet. And then I'll do 2 days of that, and then they'll add 2 days of raw vegetables. So this is raw, juicy vegetables and fruits, but no citrus or pineapple at that point. So I'll do 2 days of that, and then they will add 2 days of steamed. And this is, I still have raw fruits and vegetables like before, but I'll add some steamed vegetables, some soups, potatoes, yams, and squash, pre-made grain-free salads, and small amounts of their oil-free, salt, oil, sugar-free dressings. Then I'll have 2 days of grains and more. And this continues on with the raw fruits and the steamed vegetables, like I mentioned, and what I've had before, but it'll also add some grains like oatmeal, rice, quinoa, and corn, up to half an avocado a day, and also a bit of nuts and seeds along the way. And after 2 days of that, I will go into unrestricted eating, which will be still whole foods, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free. And at that point, I can have legumes and anything else for 2 days of observation, and then I will go home. I really think I could have gone further than 21 days, and it might have been beneficial to go a bit further, but I do have some obligations. I need to get back to my life in Maryland, so I need to end the fast here, I guess. But it's been a great experience. I can't wait to sort of see how I feel once I start to refeed. So I guess that's my update for now. I will pop this straw open here and see what this juice is. That's a paper straw. Really good. Yeah, it's like a carrot. Not sure what all's in there, but it tastes pretty good. So I'm going to sip on this. I'm a little nervous because I haven't eaten in quite a while. I don't want to get nauseous or anything, but I'm going to sip on it, and I'll see you later. Bye.